I'm making a video. Yay. Maybe. I mean, maybe it's a yay event. But it doesn't matter. So anti-bullshit-man, I guess mostly, but I guess I'll just say, responding to the previous Fede A video, Fede A. Whatever. Anyway, because the subjects are sort of related, okay? So yeah, but first off, I misunderstood Fede A's earlier video. He's not anti-abortion, he's anti-laws against abortion rights, or suppressing abortion rights. And, but ironically, he's also against feminists aggressively defending their rights to access to these medical technologies that completely controls their sexual liberality. Obviously, they're the ones that do get pregnant. The burden does fall on them. It is discrimination in that sense. Men don't have to worry about getting abortions, do they, really? You know, in a way. And this is all just this, so it's just sort of bullshit to talk about how we're already there, everything's okay, we can just do the egalitarian thing. No, because there are rights that don't exist for specific reasons, and there is a history that you just can't deny either. And until these bad habits are broken, you got to do a little bit of work. And it's still an overtly, there's lots of overtness in terms of public acceptability that maybe we should tone down a bit. Again, if men saw men being used as cartoon characters, like, buffy little men in buff suits all over the, just in their skin, and, maybe a little bit of a little junk tard on, advertising products and everything, and that was what was on TV all the time, men being humiliated as just dumb bimbos. Men probably would say, that's, it's fine for fantasy, it's fine for even some entertainment, but it's not fine as cultural institutionalism, that kind of thing. So there's still a need for feminism, in my opinion. And it's certainly, when you think about the numbers, about, like, when you see what people do, these crazy people who think, that all women who are raped aren't raped if they don't go running to the police with their claim of rape that they can't prove. I mean, really stupid things where, like, men haven't spent 3 seconds even thinking about what it's like to be a woman and have to worry about these things. Where you have to worry about, oh yeah, is my skirt too short, because now they're going to blame me for being raped. And now men might not like that kind of scrutiny of their life. I mean, just little things like that. I mean, yeah, so there's lots of room for lots of male improvement. And yeah, women can be assholes and all that kind of stuff. They're not immune to being assholes, but it's not about, it's about institutions, it's about bad habits, it's about bad cultural memes, ideas, and it's about bad laws that still exist. Until those laws are fixed, feminists should fight oppression and tyranny of men. I mean, isn't that the irony here? I saw a lot of men, a lot of Catholic men, right, opposing the abortion crazy fetus murdering women. Interesting. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. But, well, it doesn't matter, it all matters. But anyway, so this all goes to, because of the protest thing and the fact that even me and Fede's history is blighted by this personal animosity stuff. And so that's basically the subject of AntiBullshitMan's I blog post about this they can't handle the truth claim. And that's not even something I didn't come up with that, and so it's not something I say all over the place. But I guess I don't know, does anybody else have this problem with my browser, Firefox, can't handle the length of his blog post because it does this. I mean, it just craps out entirely. So it's probably my video card's crapping out or something, but it's just kind of funny that it can't handle any more of his blog post. So I have to cut and paste it to read it. But anyway, that's not a big deal. I can handle that. It's just I lose the part that he emphasized, which is a little bit irritating. And if I just, I think if I just select it, it doesn't show up. Yeah, it doesn't show up as, and it's just a mess. That's what it is. So that doesn't really work either. But anyway, that's a minor point. Alright, so anyway. So this is what he's ridiculing here. So how many times has inmendham video recited the same spiel over how people just don't want to hear the raw truth, and that's basically what most of this comes down to. Too many, he says. Alright, so this, so it's going to get to this argument of it, like as if I am appealing to, like, people should to be emotional about the subject. And there really are different subjects. I mean, yes, I certainly do argue that if you know some kind of futile truth, like if you knew like another planet was hurling through space and heading right for the Earth, it was going to blow it up, and there was nothing you could do about it, and it was all like doom. Yes, some people would approach that with like a who cares, and then other people would approach it like, let's just say the doom could be quite horrific. You know, like it was not going to just instantly kill you, it would kill you slow, perhaps. It was just going to graze the Earth and catch part of the Earth on fire or something. Who knows? Anyway, you know, and then, you know, some people would just be, oh great, what a fun ride this is going to be, and other people would be kind of down. You know, it'd be kind of depressing. Or if you found out like some horrible new virus got let loose and, you know, it's going to, you know, kill 1 billion people and blah blah blah. Yeah, some people I guess would say, okay, who cares, blah blah blah. It'll be an adventure, blah blah blah. But I think rationally people will react with a very negative reaction, like, oh fuck, this is horrible. So I guess you know, there's a point where I'm going to make an argument here that, yeah, if the truth is that, you know, all there is evolution, it's just gladiator war that's been happening for hundreds of millions of years to sentient organisms that essentially have been just enslaved to it and brutalized and disposed of, without regard to their welfare whatsoever. No intervener. You know, just crude forces, precious commodities controlled by crude forces, hundreds of millions of years, and on a level that's just, you know, that you really can't even absorb it. You can't even absorb the extent and depth of what goes on every single day in terms of the entrails. You know, I mean, it's just, and to say that that isn't daunting, I mean, that shouldn't daunt us emotionally. To imagine this is what I'm caught up in. This is the cycle of violence, and that it's going to happen even after I'm dead. You know, it doesn't stop. It's just going to keep going on and on and on. It's just never going to end. It's just this endless battle for your, you know, cup of Roman noodles or something. Your little synthetic mashed potatoes. You know, just this horrible price, and you know, that would be a little deflating, and especially if you do take it to some extent of recognizing that, you know, my personal immunity is nice. It's nice that I've been immune to a lot of things, and a lot of things didn't happen to me. A lot of horrible things didn't happen to me. I was lucky to avoid those things. But knowledge of the fact that they exist, and knowledge of the fact that they're going to exist in the future, is a little bit, oh my, because I realize that those individuals it's going to happen to are going to be just as conscious as me, and it's going to be real. I mean, the fact that I'm not personally going to have to experience it doesn't really make me feel all that much better about it, frankly, because I recognize that in a way it's not going to matter, because the people that are feeling it are just as vital as I am. So anyway, so I'm not, you know, I'm not defending being some kind of sad sack and getting totally destroyed by any emotion, you know, whether it be guilt or sadness or grief or any kind of remorse or even fear about the fact that your own mortality, you know. I mean, I'm not for somebody, oh, like you get a terrible diagnosis tomorrow that you have ALS or something. getting emotionally upset's not going to do you any good. But I'm certainly not going to criticize you if you do. It'll be kind of depressing and kind of shitty, and wow, I'm going to be like, if that happens, I'm going to be like, fuck, this is going to suck so much. And I'm not allowed to do that or something? I mean, what's your argument? I'm not, like I said, I'm not defending emotion. I'm not making videos saying everybody get all emotional, get crippled by emotion. So I'm not doing that. I'm not preying on people's emotions. I mean, is it preying on somebody's emotions to just point out that, well, yeah, rats are basically kittens, that are a little ugly. But that's all they are. They're just, they have some bad bathroom habits. So what? I mean, rats don't even have the bad bathroom habits, to tell you the truth. It's mice that do that shit. But, they got a hard life, and it's a short life. It's just kind of brutal and knitted, yeah. Oh, so I'm committing a crime if I at all make an empathetic kind of story and just say, look, this is what's happening. This is how this is what's being experienced. And there's some kind of crime in that? I don't understand the critique here at all, especially in the sense that I'm not making videos saying depression is the right emotion. I'm just saying I see it as being a perfectly rational response to the horror and the futility. I personally just can't see how you have a good time. I mean, I've used this analogy before. Why didn't you put this in here? Well, maybe it's in some other section, because I've used it over 100 times. But yeah, if I'm living next to some guy called Adolf Hitler, and he has a permit to throw, 5-year-olds into a fire, and they're screaming and yelling and blah 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 and all the horror, and the smoke is wafting over my house, and he has a legal permit. There's nothing I can do about it. He has a right to do it. Does it mean I'm just going to sit in my deck and with my cup of coffee and a smoke and just enjoy my life, even though I can hear it and I can see the smoke? I'm still going to have a good time regardless. Who cares? I'm going to say I don't care. I'll get used to it. Not bullshit. So anyway, so that's my defense first of the right to be depressed. Now, the necessity of depression, I don't think there is any necessity to be depressed, and that's why I bring up Mr. Spock as an example of a human being who can, yes, let's do this logical thing, and let's not get over emotional, and let's try to be rational and all that kind of crap. And I'm all for that. And I don't see any conflict between a depressed reaction and rational contemplation and understanding and all of that stuff. I do think certain dispositions of psychology will affect perspective. Certainly addictions will. Certainly if you are strongly hungry, you will make rationalizations to satisfy your hunger. I certainly rationalize my addiction to nicotine, because it's a strong addiction. But I don't go on the street making, I don't sell cigarettes. I don't support people picking up the habit. I don't defend it in any way. But I definitely will make arguments that, for me, it's very important. And as long as I'm not compromising somebody else's welfare to have it, I'm going to try to get it. Is that wrong to admit that I have a failing that creates an insatiable appetite inside of me? And I think that's all the truth. When we talk about the truth for natalists is that they have a failing. They are nepotistic. They are egotistic. And that what they are using these children for is for a kind of self-gratification, and that's a huge trespass. It's not to deny the fact that they have these emotions or sensations. It's just to have a rational, fair, sensible recognition that it's made out of crap. And the same, I could argue, is like sports or something. I'm not telling people, or even meat eating. I'm not even telling people to change their behavior. I'm just saying admit what it is, that it's just a bad habit. Okay, you would be better off without it. That statistically can be demonstrated. It has no real value. It's just your personal problem. And that ideally you should get over it. And if you can't get over it, the minimum you can do is say, yeah, there's no reason to infect a child with the same addiction, the same bad habit. They don't need it. It's not good for them. It's not good for society. It has no value whatsoever. There's absolutely no reason to create a meat-addicted child. I mean, that's a fair minimum. So anyway, yeah. So this argument is just so. It's just a rag again, attempting to place me as in. It's a straw man in the sense I'm not making arguments from emotion. I'm not making arguments defending emotion as any part of the equation. I'm just saying that it is the only way we can understand value is through our personal experience with it. The only way I could understand even the word torture is to understand what would torture me, what a torment and a torture might be like. So I mean, I have to use emotionalism to some extent to have some understanding of the nature of the mechanisms of what makes things abhorrent to us, disgusting and horrible to endure, and certainly it does make it a lot hard to endure something when you don't see value in it. When you don't see a purpose or a function, it does make it a lot harder to pay the fee. It's like when you have a tax for something you think is just totally unproductive. It does offend you even more because of the fact that it's that you know it's crap. It makes it that much harder to accept the tax, like the cigarette tax, for example, all premised on a lie. So what else? It says, why do you think any anti-natalist should have a single reason to commit suicide? Yeah, so we got into the suicide stuff, like that has something to do with any of this crap. And he mocked my response that I often give about the fact that you know, you're not going to win the anti-natalist propaganda war, or the even if you don't call it propaganda, the war for the mind of humanity as a corpse. Yeah, you're a lot better at arguing when you're alive than when you're dead. So being dead doesn't make you much of an advocate for anything. I mean, you could die and then have a grave, and you could have a big, like a hand as a tombstone, and you could have stuff written on the hand, and you could say, talk to the hand, or something. I don't know. You could do something that might get people to pay attention to your grave, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like the best place to talk from. So why don't people lament the absence of life on other planets? Oh, he gets to that one? I think that's a different subject. Maybe I scrolled down here. No, it's the same subject. I mean, what could you think is wrong with that argument? Answer, for the same reason that extinctionists aren't actively basking in relief at the... Oh, I can't see any of this. Answer, for the same reason that extinctionists aren't actively basking in relief at the mere thought of sentience, non-existence on all other planets, just as life-affirming optimists and perpetuationists happen to be apathetic towards the non-existence of Martians on Mars, extinctionists are apathetic to it as well when inmendham's own logic. They should be euphoric over it. Well, I don't think they have. Again, so you're imposing that standard of euphoria. The point is harm usually does inject some sense of more urgency, right? I mean, that's part of my argument, our argument. So you can't sit there and say that we think we should be elated because you didn't kill somebody today. You know what I'm saying? I mean, obviously you react to a harm that has some sort of harm demands the immediate response, where elevating somebody from comfortable to more comfortable doesn't have the same kind of urgency. So that's the question here. The point is the natalists are saying that there's some sort of harm happening because people aren't having fun. That's their argument. That's their justification. And so the point is you should react to harm. You shouldn't react to the fact that somebody doesn't have double chocolate cake for dessert. That's not going to make you react and say, oh yes, how nice that, how terrible they don't have double chocolate cake. No. Yeah, so it's a different level. Why would I be grateful that, be, patently, fallaciously stupid for me to see some huge victory in the fact that we don't have, like, double AIDS. It's nice to say, yeah, well, we don't have double AIDS. Well, that's sure damn good. That single AIDS is good, bad enough. We don't need no double AIDS. Right? So, we can be grateful, but, we're not supposed to really celebrate that, are we? You don't celebrate, like, when you have one broken leg, that you don't have two broken legs. That's kind of silly. But if you really thought there was huge absence of some kind of, that there was a harm in not having fun, and that's what the pro-natalists are arguing, that there's some kind of real negative, okay, when you take away their good times. If there wasn't humans to have good times, that somehow the universe would be deprivated. They don't explain how it possibly could, but the point is they don't see the same deprivation when they're called Martians. Somehow the deprivation only exists in perceiving the universe without Earthlings. The perception of deprivation doesn't exist when it comes to Martians. And so the point is the point of me raising it is to point out the obvious bigotry of it. And that obvious bigotry is an indication, like that should be a logical fallacy, right? The fallacy of bigotry revealed. As soon as a bigotry is revealed, it's likely the logic is fallacious. And the bigotry is revealed. Humans don't have any conception of any real value beyond their anthropomorphic sense that everything needs to be touched by a human to mean anything. It's like this whole idea of you crazy value relativist with your crazy notion that somebody needs to witness a harm for the harm to be a harm. It's not really a harm until somebody walks up to it and puts this, stamps it with, this is a real harm on it. Somebody has to opine on it. If somebody doesn't opine on it, no, it didn't happen. It doesn't mean anything. There's not real sensations being experienced somehow. Somehow the reality isn't in the thing having the reality. No, it's in the thing judging the reality. No. The value is in the happening, not in the witness. The opiner. The opiner is quite irrelevant and unnecessary to the existence of the thing. Fire exists, whether you see the fire burning or not, it exists, it's burning. All of that stuff. The tree falling, it makes the sound, yes, all that stuff happens. The vibration moves through the atmosphere, all that crap's happening. You don't need the human to say, I heard that. So anyway, where was I? So anyway, yeah, so I guess this is probably I've said enough on this subject. But yeah, it does get to the core of this idea of values derived from your emotional preferences, your cultural norms, your traditions, your habits, and values derived from logical deduction based on establishing an absolute premise. My absolute premises is that I'm a sentient organism, that's a fact, that I feel two kinds of ways, okay and not okay. Let's say very not okay is the extreme. I feel bad and not bad. The good thing is tricky, so I'm just going to say I feel bad, and there's other times when I don't have a bit of bad inside of me. Everything seems perfectly unbad, and I seem quite elated. Don't know whether it's good, but I know it's not bad. So anyway, I'm liberated from my bad. But anyway, I don't want to get too specific in an argument. I'm just saying that we know there's this, I know as an absolute fact that there's this condition called bad. And that bad is bad, it's negative, and that it should be converted into a neutral or a positive. The neutrality of it would be making it irrelevant. And so you make it irrelevant by migrating it from negative to positive. And the positive can just be 0. You can just go from negative to nothing. And that's a positive advance from the relative negative position. And that's always beneficial. Now, whether there's this positive thing to be created, who knows? But the point is there's no compensation thing going on here. If I take away my cancer, it doesn't cure somebody else's cancer. It doesn't make it okay. It doesn't mean that cancer is okay because mine got cured. It doesn't, it just doesn't. You can't make my happiness doesn't justify somebody else's suffering. So that's another one of these premise statements that's part of the math. And there you go. You just go with those premises and you've established enough mathematics to do the value equation. Not that complicated. Sorry about this. I don't really have a cold. I have an allergy or something. Misery. I don't know what I hope I don't have Lyme disease again. Fuck. But anyway, I'm okay most of the time. It's just sometimes I have these little attacks and I get all fucked up. It might be a winter syndrome. Yeah. So anyway, till next time. Such.